allocated. Deputy Martin, please.
Taoiseach, there are currently 6,000 adults homeless today, 1,724 families and nearly 4,000 children. And since 2012-2013, various housing organisations and homeless organisations had predicted and had warned about a growing crisis, but the then government was in denial, saying homelessness would not develop, that it would be resolved in a timely manner. Now we know how that worked out, because that denial of a crisis was a factor in the unacceptable levels of homelessness amongst children that we now experience. The Children's Rights Alliance has published a very important piece of research today, outlining the very negative impact of homelessness and living in emergency accommodation on children and their educational prospects. The report says that children that are homeless in Ireland are experiencing exhaustion, hunger and increased susceptibility to illness because of poor living conditions and long journeys to and from school. Tanya Ward, CEO of the Alliance, I think put it very succinctly when she said, "Children who are homeless lose out on every level of their education because they have no home to provide them with the backdrop that they need to learn and grow." Let me paint a picture of what child homelessness looks like on a day-to-day level and the dreadful effect this has on their schooling. For a child, life in homeless accommodation can be tough. They wake up in the one room they share with their parents and siblings. Some must wake their children as early as 5:30 a.m. to make the long journey across the city to school. Many are exhausted and some fall asleep in class. School attendance is affected. The child is hungry because often there is nowhere to store food or prepare breakfast or their lunch box. The child doesn't always have adequate washing facilities and sometimes goes to school with a dirty uniform. Homeless accommodation makes it almost impossible for parents to establish regular routines, and it impacts on child's behaviour. Taoiseach, such experiences should have demanded an urgent, effective and impactful response from government. Yet when you look at initiative after initiative that government has announced, you see target after target being missed. And we read today from the Dublin City Chief Executive about his serious concerns about the rapid build housing. 2 schemes, Fishamble Street and another in Coolock, announced in 2016, now estimated to be completed in 2020. Rapid build, 4,000 children homeless. The lack of delivery is quite appalling in itself. And I can go through all the initiatives that governments have announced. The repair and release scheme, target 800 units, delivery nil. Rapid bill, 1,500 by 2018, 208 to date. NAMA units, 6,000, identified 7, 2,000 delivered. Affordable homes, 400 units, 0%. And I can go on, please. And I can go on. So Taoiseach, basically, why the lack of urgency and the lack of delivery in responding to the appalling homelessness that we experience amongst children in our society today? And can you indicate, from your perspective, and do you accept that these homeless children that have been referenced in the Children's Rights Alliance report have been and are being failed by your government in terms of the quality of your response to date? Taoiseach, you're wrong in terms of the backdrop that you've suggested, because you made many announcements and the government made many announcements of various schemes, and the media were very fair to you because they reported your announcements faithfully. Right? Repair and release, 800 units were to be delivered back at the beginning of 2017. 0 delivered. Rapid build, 1,500 were to be built by the end of 2018. Delivery today, 208. NAMA units, 6,946 to be delivered, only 2,400 delivered. Affordable homes, target 400 by the end of 2018, 0 delivery. Affordable rental, a 10 million scheme promised since 2015, delivery 0. The Home Building Finance Ireland, 12 months ago in the budget, faithfully reported by the media, very fairly. What happened, Taoiseach? Legislation to establish the body has yet to pass the Oireachtas. And we can go on and on with various announcements of your government.
Time is up.
That's the backdrop. And the question I'm asking is, Why the failure to deliver? And don't get annoyed with people, with commentators and with opposition, if they point out that there's been a clear failure to deliver the necessary housing to get the children that I referred to earlier out of the emergency accommodation. It's a blight on our society, and if you cared enough about it, we've too much spin. That's why we railed against the Strategic Communications Unit, because that was about spin over substance. And we need substance in delivering houses for children who need it in terms of their proper development and growth in our society into the future.
Taoiseach.